So going on to the next page, let's look at the concept of a bar chord. And all the guitar players rolled their eyes, but if you pay attention, you're going to pick up something that you hadn't picked up before. Okay? Now, the concept of the bar chord, I think, is hugely important, especially for non-guitar players to understand. So if you can see that bar chord and do the math of where they are in the fretboard, you can visualize what they're playing. And as a keyboard player or a trumpet player or bass player, you can figure things out a lot better when you understand this concept. So I showed you those easy to play chord types, right? Those are the shapes that are real easy. But what happens if somebody says, I want an F major chord, an F sharp chord? Let's go with that. Okay? An F sharp major chord has F sharp and C sharp in it. And if you're a fan of the fretboard, you're going, huh? Where am I going to get that? There's no open strings involved, right? Eddie, A Dynamite, Goodbye Eddie is not helping me at all at this point. Because F sharp, A sharp, and C sharp is a combination that doesn't naturally land on there, okay? So if you can imagine that when I played an E major chord that we built earlier with this shape right here, if you can remember, there's our E major chord, okay, with that shape. E is only two half steps away from F sharp. If I take the E major chord and I raise the whole chord by a whole step, I'm going to get an F sharp major chord. So these wonderful guitar players back in the day said, well, a lot of the way this E major shape is working is because this nut here is giving me those open strings, E, B, and A. E, B, and another E, right? So let's move this. This is called the nut. Let's move the nut. Let's say we want the E to go up 2 frets to this F sharp. And let's take our index finger and plant it all the way across and pull all of them down. When you're a beginning guitar player and you start doing this, it's kind of hard. When you build up your muscles and build up your calluses, it's not quite so bad, but it takes a lot of pressure to put all 6 down flat like that. So if you try it at home and you haven't done this much, don't be discouraged if at first you can't do it, because it's kind of hard at the beginning. But the more you do it, the more the muscles get built up, the more it's easier to do. So now, as soon as if these strings are all down, now I've kind of transposed. I've moved all of these strings are now a whole step higher when strummed than they were before. Eddie, A Dynamite, Goodbye Eddie, up a whole step on each of those is now this. Right? So if this is the new nut, if you will, if the nut was over here and now I've made a new nut with my finger, I can take the E major shape and make it be an F sharp chord. Okay? Remember, here was my E major shape. Those two, and then the G sharp down here. So if I'm going to move them up 2 frets, 1, 2, I want those guys there, and I want this down. Now we make an F sharp chord. Does that kind of make sense? Sort of? So to play it, I do this, and I have to change your fingers around, and boom, and you'll see there in the bottom third of page 65, the diagram for an F sharp major chord with an E shape bar chord would look like this. These 3 fingers and the bar are creating the same shape that we saw down here with the E major chord. It's an E shape, but if I bar it, all of a sudden I now have F sharp major. Voila. Right? And for those of you in French, I know I mispronounced that. Don't send me the emails. Okay? F sharp major chord. What happens if I take this exact thing that I'm doing and go up 1 fret? What chord would this be? G major. This was an F sharp major. Up a half step. G major. What if I go up a whole step from there? What would that be called? What would I do to get to A from here? Go up 2 frets, right? So if I take this thing up 2 frets, there's the E shape, but it's A. And the reason I can tell it's A if I'm not a guitar player is I know the E string, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. It's making that shape. That's the bottom note. Do the math, 5 frets, 2 dots. That's an A chord. Boom. So starting back at sharp, if you ever wanted to play a little flamenco music from Spain, and all you Spanish people, please disregard this next part. You go F sharp, major, you go half step, go up another whole step, and take it back down. And like right? Thank you very much. Right? So this is an F sharp major chord using an E shape bar. There's other ways of playing an F sharp, but this is the first way that kind of gets easy. Now take the same concept and you can continue to extrapolate it and make any chord you want. Because here's an F, F sharp, A flat. Here's another way of doing C. Here's a B. Here's a B flat. Here's an E flat, and so forth. So you can make almost any major chord just with that E shape. Not some are better than others. Some work better than others. Depends on where you're at on the neck, but you can make any chord if you know that E shape in the bar. Okay? Now there's an alternative. Any questions? That kind of makes sense? Paul has a question. What does it sound like without the bar is a great question, and I see Alex's hand. So here it is with the bar. Okay, here's an F sharp chord with the bar. Now if I take the bar away, I'm going to get an F sharp triad here, but I'm going to get an open E, B, and E like this. Okay? Now technically, for anybody who cares, I'm forming an F sharp triad here, but I've got an E in the bass, and I've got an 11 with an E, and another E up here. So this is an F sharp minor 7, add 11 with an E in the bass. Which is a fancy way of saying you could do this. This one is for my daughter to roll her eyes in the back, because my son's name is Tanner, and when he was 3 and he rarely got to the bathroom in time, so we did what is it? Well, he's really short and cute. We're gonna edit this, right? He likes to play on his guitar. And I'm just moving that triad around. But when Tanner I'm singing, we all run really far. And of course, he's a wild one, born free. He still likes to look at his nose like he was MC. Tanner man, when I need something done, Tanner can. Okay, so we just showed the bar shape of E, moving it around, with the E string as our lowest note. So if you flip the page, now we're going to do the same exact concept, but now we're going to use the A shape with our string, the A string, as our lowest note. Same idea, okay? So remember that A shape where we took these 3 guys right here, 1, 2, that gives us a major triad just with those 3 that I'm fretting. If I circle the whole 5 string, that gives me an 8 major with an A on the bottom. If I take the whole thing up 3 frets, A up 3 frets is going to be C. If I take the whole thing up 3 frets and I create a new nut with a bar, that's going to give me C major. So 1, 2, 3, and I do that chord like this. There's the same shape, but I got a bar here. I almost never use this voicing myself when I play, because I find it a little bit weird to get to. I always find other ways to make C happen than this one, but this technically works. If I want to get a C sharp chord, I stick it up a fret. D, D sharp. So if I got a C here, this is a C major chord using the A shape bar. And I can also get a C major chord, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, B flat, B, C. I can make a C major chord using the E shape bar like this. So this is a C major with the E bar shape. This is a C major with the A bar shape. 2 different voicings, same 3 pitches, same chord. So you'll look at the bottom of page 66, the bar chord root finder. So if somebody is making this, let's say 4th fret, and they're making this shape right here, and you go, oh, that's an A shape. So this must be their bottom note. They must be playing A, B flat, B, C, C sharp. That must be a C sharp major chord. Okay? But if they're doing the E shape, you look at the one far left, and you go to like the 7th fret, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7th fret's also the 3rd dot. And they're barring, and they're making an E shape. You know that this B natural note is the root of their chord. It's a B major chord. Handy dandy bar chord root finder right there. And that, we don't charge extra for the root finder. It's included in the class. I know you guys were worried about that. Did you have a question, Bradley? Are you impressed that I remembered your name finally after 4 weeks? Booyah. Yes, sir. 2 questions.
Okay, so I got you in the root finder for the E.
Yes, sir.
And tell me again, root finder for
Okay, he says he understands the root finder on the E shape, but not necessarily for the A. So on that diagram, the bar chord root finder, the far left column is representing the E string. So if the bar is at that spot on the neck, that's the corresponding note. So if it's the first fret, then it's an F chord using the E shape. But using the A shape, you're gonna look at what's in the second column under the A string. So if I make an A-shaped bar chord and I do it on the first fret, I can see the first fret right there is A sharp or B flat. That will be a B flat chord. So if I do this, basically, A shape on the first fret. Okay? It's convenient that the shape matches the name of the string that it's referencing.